This week's Political Roundtable are reporters Andy Green, City State Editor for the Baltimore Sun, and Thmas Farrell of the Annapolis Capital. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you, Jeff.
Looking very much like the superdelegates are going to settle things on the Democratic side. 29 of them are Marylanders, and it's pretty much a three-way split between the Clinton campaign, the Obama campaign, and a large number of undecideds. Let's take a look at the undecideds for a second. The number has actually dropped from 10 to 9 just today as John Gage of the American Federation of Government Employees endorsed Obama. You have a lot of big names there who are still on the fence. What's going on?
Yeah, I think a lot of these people are going to stick until we see a real clear movement in the race. I mean, a lot of superdelegates in the last couple of days have been moving toward Obama in the wake of the North Carolina and Indiana primaries, as it seems more likely that he's the almost certain nominee. But, you know, a lot of people are waiting to see how the Clinton campaign reacts, if she's going to stick with this through the end of the primary season. You may see people like, say, Steny Hoyer or Chris Van Hollen, who have important political positions in the party, wait until things are settled before they come in on the side of the winner.
We have a lot of national figures there, but then Ben Cardin as well, freshman senator on the fence. These people's phones must be ringing constantly.
I think it's emblematic of a larger situation that's going on here, where you have a very close race, and you have a group of people who necessarily, their role in the selection process maybe hasn't been under the spotlight as much as it is now. And as it is, you have people who are party operatives or who haven't necessarily been used to reporters calling them up or having people of this stature call them up. So you can see where personally it must be kind of a burden to have this or a fun burden. You know, we're hearing reports from superdelegates who are having celebrities call them up. The Clinton and Obama campaigns will have their high-level surrogates, singers, actors, whatever, calling these superdelegates and trying to twist them one way or the other. But, you know, the people who have held out up to this point, I think, are probably not going to be swayed by that sort of thing. They have their own reasons, I think.
Or sort of Bill Clinton, who calls up and talks for 3 hours.
Yeah, right. He's one who's very persuasive. And, you know, a lot of politicians don't want to be on the wrong side of how things break.
O'Malley and others who were very early Clinton endorsers, superdelegates. Does that hurt in some way?
I think Governor O'Malley probably will come out fine if Obama is the nominee. You know, he hasn't been as out in the forefront as, say, Ed Rendell was in Pennsylvania. You know, he's made some appearances on Clinton's behalf, but he's never attacked Obama by any means. In fact, he's always been pretty gracious about Obama. And besides which, I think he can say, look, the Clintons and I have a long relationship, and that's why I endorsed. I don't think it'll be a problem.
Let's talk about something else that could be causing concern for the O'Malley administration at this point. The governor's taking heat for a state police decision to relicense an auto inspection garage in Prince George's County that had been suspended by the state police, having found to have been issuing inspections without actually inspecting the vehicles. Senator Exum of Prince George's County lobbied for the reinstatement, and there was an internal state police memo that the Washington Post published with this quote from the captain who was in charge of that unit, saying that strong political pressure was being received from the governor's office to reinstate Hilltop Fleet Services to the vehicle safety. The questions here are whether Senator Exum was applying inappropriate pressure, whether the administration then applied inappropriate pressure to the state police, and whether the state police inappropriately rolled over on that. Where does this go?
Well, this is the sort of thing which I think never plays well with voters, is they think that perhaps political reasons are getting ahead of bureaucratic ones, where this is a situation where something's being done for our safety, and personal opinion and personal gain got in the way. I think part of this is also the
inspection program. They were subsequently reinstated. I guess the
residual concern about the special session. Some of these talks took place around the time that votes were needed. And Senator Exum voted for every piece of the package along the way during the special session. That's not to say that's why he did it, but that's one of the reasons why.
And notably, he was the lone vote against the confirmation of Colonel Sheridan to lead the state police.
Yeah, so he's not exactly voting the O'Malley way on everything, it seems. But another thing to bear in mind here, though, is that there have been other stations in the past who have been suspended from the program and brought back in. And what the state police said was was, look, we did not have any established procedure for when people should have their licenses revoked and what they need to go through to get them reinstated. They have now established such a procedure. So, this really pulls the curtain back a little bit on what we mean by constituent service when people get their legislators involved in trying to push for their causes. I think the story really just showed us a little bit about how the game is played.
And the governor was pressed on this on a radio interview this week and basically said that this particular outfit will be under increased scrutiny, as you can imagine. Mike Miller, Senate President since 1987, has a fundraiser coming up next month, and that's making news because he had said at the beginning of this term that this was it. He was done, and the implication of the big fundraiser is that maybe he's not.
Although he had the same fundraiser last year, too, after he announced he was going to quit. People have been greeting the idea that Mike Miller would quit with skepticism from the very moment it escaped his lips. I don't know what your opinion is.
I mean, I had a conversation with him last year that sounded a lot like what was recently published in the Washington Post, that his decision to retire largely came from a conversation he had with two state senators who were also considering retirement. But he doesn't want to be a lame duck. He feels like there's work left to be done.
He had a few months of feeling like a lame duck after the initial statements, and probably didn't like that.
He probably doesn't like seeing people jockeying for his position when, he's a man who's dedicated his entire life.
And it's also interesting that he didn't come out and make some big announcement that he was going to retire. He sort of let it slip in an interview with a reporter from the Washington Times, which I would wager is not Mike Miller's favorite publication in the world, when, Tom Stuckey of the AP, the longtime dean of the White House press corps, was sitting outside the room. Tom went in after that. He didn't say a word about it to Tom. So one wonders if he was just thinking out loud and maybe got ahead of himself.
What happens, though, to the people who were, if not jockeying to be the new Senate President, or at least thinking about it and starting to line up support? They go back to their offices and forget about it?
Well, put their plans on the back burner, certainly. I mean,
people have tried to take Miller out before and has not been successful. And you've got to wonder, he's a powerful man, and he could make life difficult for somebody who tries to take him out and fail.
Before we run out of time, let's talk about slots a little bit. Obviously, the big referendum coming up in November. We just heard earlier in the program that Magna Entertainment, not too surprisingly, is going to get behind that. The governor has been talking about it a lot this week in radio interviews around the state, and it's pretty important to him, it's clear.
I think it's very important for his administration because the budget deficit still exists until it passes and the money comes in. And a lot of future spending and the future plans he has are contingent upon this. For example, the health care plan that was passed in November can't be fully phased in until this money comes in.
And politically, this is huge for Governor O'Malley. He's had very bad poll numbers since he pushed through the tax increases. Peter Franchot is breathing down his neck. Peter Franchot is leading up the anti-slots cause. If O'Malley loses this one, he's going to look pretty wounded going into the next election.
It could very quickly become a battle between O'Malley and Franchot, depending on how their personalities wage over top of this.
All right, Liam Farrell, Andy Green, we're going to leave it there. Thanks for being with us.
Good to see you, Jeff.
And that is our program for this week. Join us every week at this time for the latest on Maryland politics. Monday night on Direct Connection, we'll put the focus on summer driving with the superintendent of the state police and Motor Week's John Davis. Join us Monday at 7:30. For all of us at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching and have a good night. Of them are Marylanders, and it's pretty much a three-way split between the Clinton campaign, the Obama campaign, and a large number of undecideds. Let's take a look at the undecideds for a second. The number has actually dropped from 10 to 9 just today as John Gage of the American Federation of Government Employees endorsed Obama. You have a lot of big names there who are still on the fence. What's going on?
Yeah, I think a lot of these people are going to stick until we see a real clear movement in the race. I mean, a lot of superdelegates in the last couple of days have been moving toward Obama.